Welcome to Coffee with the Candidates. This is Nancy with Andy at Yankton Thrive, and I'm here today with John Marquardt, who is running in the June 2024 legislative primary as a Republican for the House of Representatives. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for asking me.
On the Yankton Thrive website, we will have all of the voting information as far as locations and early voting information as well, and that is at yanktonsd.com. So John, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my wife and I and our three children moved to Yankton in about 1995, and I came down to help manage Marquardt Transportation. Since then, I've been very involved in youth athletics in Yankton, very involved in a St. John's Lutheran Church. Love Yankton as for our home and vicinity and things like that. It's just a great place to live and grow. Since then, about a year and a half ago, I was voted in as a county commission, and as of January 1st of this year, I am now the chairman of the Yankton County Commission. So that's about it for me in a nutshell.
So what separates you from the other candidates?
I guess I have a vast knowledge in business, management, agriculture, manufacturing. My background coming from Mitchell at Trail King Manufacturing through the trucking business and things like that. I've got a large, vast knowledge of a lot of different things. And of course, I have common sense.
Common sense is always helpful, yes. So is there anything that you've learned by being on the county commission that you think will help you at the state level?
Yes, and a bunch of stuff that I've learned at the county level that I can bring towards the representatives out in Pierre to request and ask for help or deal with issues that the county's dealing with at a higher level.
So funding public education is the state's responsibility. What are your thoughts on how we continue to create outstanding learning environments for our youth?
Well, I think number one, we have to support our local educators and the administration on our educators in the local school systems. That would be number one. I think the Early Childhood Learning Center that's going up here in Yankton is going to be a great addition to provide public education for families that have the younger children that aren't getting quite the education that they need to start school at the young age of 5 or 6 years old. So I truly believe that and other communities in the area have been adding things like that to their facilities so that there's more ability to educate these kids.
Yeah, it is helpful for us at Thrive as we're helping the employers here in town bring new workforce that we can promote. Yankton has free preschool as a part of our public school system where most other communities do not provide that option. So.
Yep.
Would you support making the temporary sales tax reduction permanent?
I'm going to say no, but I am open to listening to what other people have to say and why they want to do this. But to me, that's a revenue stream that we could use to help other places.
So for the viewing audience, this next question is very long, so thank you for your patience as I read through it. There are 2 ballot measures circulating that the state cannot tax the sale of anything sold for human consumption except alcohol and prepared food. Both say municipalities may continue to impose these taxes, but there is definitely a question about how that would work. Sales tax streamlining laws that allow us to collect sales tax on remote sales say the state and municipalities have to have the same base. So they have to tax the same items. They do not have to tax at the same rate. So the state can tax at 4% and the cities at 2%. If either of these measures pass, it would take legislative or court action to keep food in the base, but have the state rate set at 0, leaving municipal sales tax in place. First, do you support eliminating the tax on consumables? And if this is passed, would you support legislative action allowing cities to keep their base on consumables?
First of all, I would not support removing the sales tax on consumables. And second of all, I will support, if it was passed, I would support the municipalities, counties, and cities counties would have to be approved also by the legislature, but to maintain the sales tax that's in effect.
So property rights. This is there's a tremendous dialogue across South Dakota regarding personal property rights when it comes to large economic development projects. Share some of your thoughts with the viewing audience so they better understand your views and what you would support so South Dakota can continue to bring large-scale projects to South Dakota.
From day one as a county commissioner, I supported personal property rights and will continue to do so. However, there is a common sense factor that comes into play when talking about economic development. If large-scale projects want to come to South Dakota, we should be able to accommodate them without infringing on the rights of the property owners, whether it be agriculture property or urban-related property. I think the last legislative session did a good job of setting up guidelines to protect all parties involved. Some issues that need to be tweaked, of course, there is, and it is our job to do so. The groundwork is in place.
So it's nothing new that the 66 counties in South Dakota are struggling financially, and as a county commissioner, you see and deal with that firsthand. The summer study in 2023 brought forward several ideas. What do you think would create a positive impact for county budgets?
Of the 21 ideas that the summer study brought forward to the legislature, I think they passed about 4 or 5 actual bills that will work with the counties. The largest one is the Indigent Care Public Defendant office that the state is starting to put in place, where they're going to offer public defenders for assault issues, big cases like appeals and stuff like that. That's going to be one where it's going to be a small assistance right now, but it's going to build into a larger one in years to come. There's a clarification on the TIF. The county administrates the TIF once the TIF is already started by the city or municipality or the county. And at this point in time, the county gets nothing to reimburse administrative fees. There was a clarification that was misunderstood in the original bill that was passed for that the counties actually would be able to charge an administrative fee for handling the tax payments and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be some assistance. Another big one is we are now going to be allowed to charge an extra $100 for out-of-state license fees. And I didn't realize this until I became county commissioner, but there are thousands of out-of-state people that purchase their license plates for their vehicles, for their campers and ATVs in the state of South Dakota because of our low fees on our licensing. So that is going to be an additional, and we got to send part of that back to the state with the license fees, but the county gets to keep 50% of that fee. So that's going to be a huge number for counties in South Dakota. And of course, with the lake area and that, a lot of people come here to celebrate and party and drive their ATVs and store them down here. So that'll be an addition in revenue. So it's a very good start. Legislature has always been kind of not willing to look at counties as far as their problem with revenues and that. So they did a very good job starting the process. And if I'm elected, I would be there to help continue those processes.
So in one of the previous questions, you mentioned county sales tax. Can you just share some of your thoughts on that?
It's kind of a naughty word in the legislature, but actually this last year and through the summer study, it kind of was brought up to where if we can tie that into property tax relief somehow, that it may be something that we can look at the state level.
Well, for District 18, we all know there is a huge population out in the lake area and a lot of opportunity for revenue generation based upon the activities and the businesses located in that area. So can you share your thoughts on the successes and challenges with Medicaid expansion?
Medicaid expansion is a topic that I'm not very familiar with, but if elected, will obviously get more knowledgeable on that case. I do know that right now, the people that are signed up for it are utilizing the program. However, a lot of people are not being signed up or not signing up for that program at this point in time. So hopefully down the road, and we don't know where that's gonna end up in a couple of years when the federal government stops applying their funds to that system also.
So workforce is a continuing challenge in South Dakota. With unemployment around 2% and such a large percentage of both parents working within District 18 and across the state, what ideas do you have for increasing our workforce so we can continue to support our key industries, which are agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and healthcare?
Actually, to assist in our workforce here, I think we have to come out with a fair wage, number one. That's not to say that the manufacturers have to burden that excess or extra wage increase, but I think the state needs to provide some kind of services so that either we can provide better daycare, better younger educational systems so that more people can go to work if they want to go to work, and also obviously figure out a way to build houses and get people drawn in here. We've got people coming in, and that's part of our problem is there's no housing for them. There's no daycare for them, so they can't go to work because they still have to maintain and take care of their children. So a better daycare system provided by the state, and then we'll see where that goes.
So what are your thoughts on automation when it comes to our 4 key industries?
I'm kind of old school. I know there's a place and a time and a place for automation, but at the same token, we need to keep our people working. But I understand also that there's a shortage of bodies to do the work. So like I said, there's a time and a place for automation. Some of the factories that we have here in Yankton and across the state definitely can utilize automation. But at the same token, I don't want somebody sitting around doing nothing because that machine has taken their job away from them.
So childcare is another important issue, which you mentioned in your last answer. The Department of Social Services has a program to support low-income families offset the cost of childcare, but a low percentage of families utilize the program. In Yankton, our reports show a high demand specifically for child care for infants under the age of 1. There is no one answer to solve this. In your opinion, what can the state do to help support families having adequate access to child care?
This is an area which is part of the reason why I do not agree with getting rid of sales tax. Any kind of revenue, if the state has got plenty of revenue, then rather than taking away the sales tax, then what we should do is we subsidize daycare centers. And also, as far as the issue with the child that's a year or under or whatever, I think there's a way that we could utilize some of those funds also to assist in parents so that one of the parents at least can stay at home, not have to go to work, and take care of that child until we can get them into the younger adult education system.
So is there any topic that we didn't cover today that you wanted to share with our viewing audience?
I don't think we talked much about property taxes. And as everyone knows, in the last year or two, the property taxes have kind of raised abnormally more than usual. Part of that is because people are moving into state of South Dakota. There's more regulations by the state to make sure that we get more to the assessed level or true market value of properties. And when the people are coming in here especially from California and the West Coast and the East Coast, where they're selling their houses out there for an enormous amount of cash, they're paying more above average costs for housing here. Therefore, that's obviously increasing property taxes or the value of your house. So obviously property taxes. And again, with the sales tax issue, there was talk in the summer during the summer study to somehow utilize a sales tax for the counties to subsidize some of or show some property tax relief. And I think that's a very good way to offset some of the property taxes.
Well, John, thank you very much for joining us here today. And once again, the primary is on June 4th. Good luck.
Thank you.